Welcome back to the news feed late night on this Tuesday. The Labour Appeals Court has dismissed the application by public sector unions seeking to force the government to implement the public sector wage increase for this year. The court ruled that clause 3.3 in the wage agreement signed in 2018 was unlawful. Joining me now to talk about this is the acting Public Servants Association General Manager, Ruben Malika. Ruben, good evening and thank you for your time tonight on the news feed late
night. Good evening.
2 days before the court sitting, the Minister of Public Service and Administration, Senzo Mchunu, approached you for settlement talks. Do you now wish you would have maybe considered those settlement talks instead of heading to court?
Look, Tabo, we still believe that the court was the ultimate and the correct forum to deal with this issue, because this matter does not only deal with what is termed clause 3.3. It also talks to the character of the employer that they are dealing with and the future of collective bargaining, not only in the public service, but for the entire country. Because where we stand today, we can proudly say we did not lose this court bill. In fact, it showed us that what kind of cabinet we are sitting with in this country, where you can have a cabinet that lied to us as unions in 2018 to make us believe that we can enter into a resolution that they will implement over the period of 3 years. And only to know in 2020 that they lied to us, they made us to think that is implementable, and they themselves now saying is unlawful. It's unfortunate that the court judgment also confirmed, and it's also at the same time surprising, because if the resolution was not mandated as they went to court, that it was not mandated in terms of the necessary procedures, then why is only court declaring only one clause of the resolution? Because if indeed there was no mandate, they should declare that entire resolution unlawful. Then one comes to conclusion that the actual judgment is more of morals than the law and facts.
Well, the court's saying the government is no longer bound by that clause in terms of Section 78 and 79 of the Public Service Act, which means that government is no longer required to fulfill that agreement entered to in collective bargaining because it cannot afford to do so.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to say that it is one of the surprising judgments that can conclude that a part of a resolution is simply unlawful because government does not have money.
Yeah.
One can look at it to say that the judges were more persuaded by the pleadings of government that if they implement such a resolution, it's going to deprive the poor of the poorest social grant receivers to receive social grant. So, but in terms of the law, one would have expected that the court would say the entire agreement is unlawful. But now that they've declared only clause 3.3, which means on housing, they've implemented, on medical, they've implemented, the previous 2018-2019 will still stand, then it gives us opportunity as unions to say we have to table fresh demands to replace clause 3.3 by making fresh demands as soon as possible, which we believe that the employer will come to the table and be able to accede to our demand or compromise to our demands, failing which we are going to have unfortunate shutdown of the entire public service.
Well, do you think now this has left you in a situation where the salary freeze would then have to be implemented? I suppose Treasury and the Minister of Finance in particular is empowered by this particular ruling.
Look, the wage freeze is not a unilateral action, because where we are standing, we have already been saying that for the coming years, we are also ready to table demands. Now it's just going to be a question of power play on how unions are going to unite and make sure that we fight for the right of collective bargaining. And unfortunately, because we are dealing with a lawlessness cabinet that does not adhere to the law, we are not going to be strict in terms of who is going to strike. We might see, what is termed essential service also shutting down and say that we are part of of those who are disadvantaged. And because here you can see they are taking advantage that they can always say that those who are essential service cannot shut down. But it's going to be very difficult for us, for unions, to tell essential workers not to strike. because we are dealing with a lawlessness, one can say a state that can easily renege from resolutions.
But Ruben, you can't call that lawlessness because it is now law. It's the courts that have made this ruling, and the implications thereof is that it is now law that when government cannot afford to fulfill that part of the agreement, they are not bound by it.
Yes, of course. That's what I'm saying. Let's look at this judgment not only on the facts of law. We look at this judgment as is more hinged on a moral fact of saying we're having a situation where the country can afford between paying the public servants, which they are already, that's what they are arguing, that we have not lost anything in terms of salaries, it's just an increase. At the same time, they are arguing the fact that what about affording social grants? And it's just a question of moral. So, but on real facts and on real law, one can look at to say that if cabinet in 2018 did not have a mandate to sign that resolution, why did the court not declare the whole resolution null and void? Then you can see that they were more of sympathetic to the employer based on other factors which are of societal needs.
Well, I mean, other factors also include the economy. Other factors also include our standing with rating agencies, which by and large, we were downgraded by both the rating agencies, largely because of this matter of the public sector wage that has ballooned over the last couple of years.
Look, maybe let me clarify the issue of saying the public service has ballooned. It's not true that the public service wages have ballooned over years. In every situation, annually, due to high cost of living adjustment, each and every employer is expected to ensure that the living wage is there, people can afford as they could afford in the previous year. And that has been what is happening in the public service. So this issue of creating, some sort of one expectation that public servants have been paid more than anybody else is not true.
Yeah.
We have been paid according to the what has been agreed, which is always being according to in line with inflation. So I want to justify the fact that where we are sitting right now, there is no way where we're going to be blackmailed of continuing to say that we have always been getting better salaries, therefore we don't deserve a salary. The cost of living has gone up. The hardships that everybody's complaining about COVID-19, it is also affecting us as public servants. Therefore, why should we not get a salary adjustment?
Yeah. So let's talk then about what you're saying. It will depend on the unity of the labor movements. You seem to be more open to this idea of a once-off bonus in terms of this settlement agreement that was proposed by Minister Mchunu. Kosatu says that is actually a disappointment because you're essentially expecting the very same workers to pay for their own bonuses if you're looking at how that bonus settlement is going to be funded.
In fact, that is our position, Thabo. We don't even look. We rejected that proposal with contempt that it deserves. We can never agree to employer paying us with our own monies, because here what they are saying is that they want to take from what's supposed to be paid into a pension fund and pay us. So you can't use my own money to pay me at the same time. So we reject that. We can never agree to that. That's why we are where we are today. And we are saying that, look, we've got two options in terms of the judgment. One is that we can go to the Constitutional Court based on this judgment. Alternatively, we can look at the procedures that can lead us to a shutdown of the public service. So, but those are options that we have to take along with our members. We need a strong buy-in of our members and also unity of unions in the public service, so that if the alternative one is to go the route of shutdown in demand of better wages, we need to make sure that you'll not see even a single person working on that particular day when you declare a strike, saying I'm going to work. So we want them, the politicians, to feel that, in fact, they must never take unions in the public service for granted.
Now, coming out of its NEC, the ANC has said that engagement must continue with the alliance partners, particularly on this matter of the public sector wage. Do you foresee that there will be a political agreement, at least, on this particular one, which by and large will exclude yourself as the Public Servants Association because you do not fall within that alliance?
Look, that would be a suicide of any union based on any alliance to come up with any kind of arrangement that would not please the workers. In fact, the workers have already, from April, had a lot of expectation, and obviously they are disappointed. There is no way that any particular union, whether in alliance or non-alliance, is going to be seen selling workers out and not protecting the future of collective bargaining. Because if anyone comes in any kind of a solution which is less than what we had, that also says to us that we will never have unions that can be able to bargain in the public service. And then it also questions the existence of some of the forums such as the PSCBC and its sectors. Because if we cannot defend this, we must as well as just wrap up and shut down all kind of bargaining forums that we're having, because they'll not serve any purpose. So that's why where we are today, we don't believe that even if our colleagues in COSATU, they will have any political solution other than making sure that we have what we had in the resolution being implemented. And that is why we're saying a unity of workers at this stage is more of paramount. We need to go and defend, and the only way we can defend this, it is out in the streets, right, and show them that we also have power.
Acting Public Servants Association's General Manager, Ruben Malika, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.